Hi, Will here with Antique Radio Archaeology. Today we're going to do a restoration on a 1924 Radiola 1325 horn speaker. Now, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this restoration is the fact that when people think of 1920s radios, the horn speaker always comes to mind. And I've always wanted one, I've always wanted to restore one, so when I finally got one and did a restoration on it, I was just so excited. But what I found out was I didn't know what I was doing. And I had to go onto YouTube to try and find some videos, and I was shocked to find out there's virtually no information on YouTube on how to do this stuff. So I went through some radio blogs, I talked to some people, and I got some answers, and I finally got this speaker here restored. Well, after doing that, I'm thinking, my gosh, that would be a great project for this channel. So I went ahead and went onto eBay, I found another one, and we're going to do a restoration from beginning to end. So let's get started. So that is a UZ 1325 Radiola horn speaker. And the horn, these things are made out of hard rubber, and they're actually pretty easy to restore. Now the bases typically, this part here is either pot metal or cast steel. This one's steel, and the way you can tell, I actually have the one that I restored before, which is this one right here. Now this one, if you notice, this has some rounded rivets in it, whereas this one has the through rivets. And that just by, if you're looking at a picture, that's how you would know one's steel and one's pot metal. The pot metal has these pins in it, or they'll have a slotted screw. So the hardest part is usually removing this bottom plate, which a lot of times is missing. It has a felt covering on it, which clamps between here and here. So getting that off is usually a bit difficult. It's really bad on the pot metal because you can break that pot metal pretty easy. But yeah, this one's got some rust on it. That thing won't even move. Okay, one of the first things I want to do is see if I've got a functioning speaker. Actually, the cord is in relatively good shape. I'm surprised. Maybe able to reuse them. This little lever here allows you to basically move the diaphragm in and out slightly. Because that's froze up, that means there's probably some corrosion in there that's going to need to be taken care of. Hopefully this thing works. Oh my goodness, yes. That's a good sound. As you can hear, it is working. So the first step is going to be removing this bottom plate. It's may or may not be too difficult, just depends. That pot metal one that I did was very, very hard to get off. This one looks like it might be a little easier. So what I'm going to do is score around the felt, try to get the felt separated, and then see if I can pop that thing off of there. So I'm going to get this thing fully disassembled. Pull this felt off. It's coming. Okay. Hey, we got it. Alright. Okay, so there's the innards. So now, let's get started on getting this thing taken apart. Yeah, it's pretty bent up. So I'm going to have to coax that without breaking it. So here's my plan. I'm going to clamp it in this vise. Be careful. Okay. Oh, perfect. Oh yes, 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 yes. Oh yeah. Haha, success. I didn't know if that was going to work or not. Alright, got that off of there. Now I've got to get this off of here. Actually, I think that did it. It's tough. All right. Yeehaw! We got it off. What happens with pot metal, and that's what this is pot metal, is the composite materials they use to make it causes what they call pot metal rot, and it will swell. So this probably is either that or this or this, or both, probably swelled a little bit and it tightened up. I think there's rust underneath here. Yeah, there is. I don't want to leave that there. So I'm going to have to drill that out, and then we'll go ahead and remove all this paint and rust and clean everything up and get it all back together. What I want to do is use a large drill head and shave that off so I can pop it out. Alright, so that's why I wanted to remove it. I definitely didn't want to leave all that rust underneath there. So what I need to do now is I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt down in here and around the edges and stuff. I'm just going to use a little bit of just regular dish soap and some cold water. So in this next step, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this this nut here. This is to protect the rubber. So the last step. I'm going to use regular tire wet, which is used on rubber, and give it a real good coat. Okay. Now I will say this stuff does not smell good, but after a couple of weeks the smell will go away. So just got to deal with it for a little while. Once it does, this thing looks really good. Okay, now I'm going to actually move this out of the sun and let it set. I'm going to clean up some of this black. What I'm using is Marks A Lot marker, mainly because I may have mentioned before, the Sharpies have kind of a purple tint to them, and that takes away from the background here. So what I'm going to do, basically fill in the background. When I finish doing this, it's going to be nice and black. I'm going to take some 1000 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to lightly scuff over the top of it to bring out the lettering again. Alright, there it is. So for the base, what I'm going to use is this felt that I picked up online. It's a adhesive backed felt that's used for lamps. People have typically use just regular felt and glue it on. I kind of like this stuff. It's a little thinner than the other stuff, but it gets the job done. And I want it to basically give me enough to come around the edges, so about a 1/2 inch or so. About that. I'm going to be trimming it anyway. So there we go. It's been a day or two, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of car wax on this. So, next step, and get this riveted on. Okay, and I just nicked the heck out of that. Oh man. So as you saw previously, I did have a slight mishap with the chip and the paint. I'm going to go ahead and we got it all repainted. So I'm going to go ahead and do pretty much the same thing all over again. Get a little bit of polish on it. It's been a couple of days, a few days actually, since it's been repainted. This time I'm going to be a little more careful with that rivet gun. Okay, no chips that time. I still have this issue that needs to be addressed. It involves this guy right here. If you can see, the threads on this thing are kind of boogered up. And the reason for that is what I mentioned before. which is this pot metal rot. And this here is not, threads on this are fine. So I don't believe this is pot metal. This is stamped steel. But this is not. So when I try to screw these together, what happens, I get to a point where it starts to bind up. And right there, it's, yeah, not good. There's a correction for that. And the guy on one of the online forums recommended this. This stuff here is a valve grinding compound. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on the threads. Perfect. Alright. Well, that looks a lot better. Actually, I have some threads back. I'm going to reuse this cord. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit frayed right there. Just got a little bit of heat shrink here. Just going to go ahead and put some heat shrink on it. Clean that part up. Before I get too far along in the reassembly, one of the things I want to do is these two rivets. If you remember on the original, they were pass through. You had a hole you could see right through. Well, with pop rivets, you wind up leaving a little head in the bottom of the rivet. I'd like to knock those out. Okay, that one went. Doesn't take much. And they are now through holes. This part here has to be screwed on to here. Now it has to be on there really, really tight. So before I even put that on, one of the things I do want to do is add a little bit of Permatex. And I'm not going to put much on there. This is the red stuff. Red means permanent. So I don't want to put a lot on there. So that should be strong enough. Now the next step, I need to put that in there. What I've got here is some phono lube for motors and gears. I got this stuff so many years ago, I couldn't even tell you where to get it nowadays. I don't even know if it's available. But any kind of lubricant would work. You could use a white lithium grease. Okay. Alright, now before I do anything else, what I need to do is test it, because I want to figure out where the max volume is going to be, because that's where I need to set the lever for max at. Okay, right there is going to be the max. So that's where I want this to remain.
You have to make good decisions no matter what's going on, whether you have an endorsement deal or not. So making sure you don't make bad decisions that...
Well, that's it for today's restoration. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like. If you'd like to see more content like this, hit subscribe. In the meantime, happy restorations, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.